Right then, Scott, we're going to move on to metaphor. Big, giant metaphor. I believe that's what it's called.
Yes.
No, I may have got the translation wrong. The platform. I don't know how I've got that so wrong. The platform's nothing like big, giant metaphor.
Yes.
The platform, Scott.
I see where the confusion may have arisen. Right. It's a platform where Ivan Misugu's Goreng awakes a prison quite unlike any other. Well, a vertical self-management centre, to be pedantic.
I laughed like a dream when she said that name.
His cellmate, or perhaps floormate, is Sryon Aguilior's Trimagasi, a curious older gentleman who informs him that they are on level 48, a decent enough level, and they shouldn't go too hungry or have to resort to cannibalism just yet. You see, the food in this hole comes down from level 0, where an extraordinary feast is prepared for the higher levelled inmates to gorge on for a few minutes at least, and then the platform is lowered to the next level, all the way down to who knows how far. Hundreds at least, although by that point, of course, there's no food left. Troubles arise when, on the monthly shuffling of the inmates' positions, Goreng and Trimagasi awake on level 171, which it turns out is more or less the level where resorting to cannibalism seems like a solid option. Thankfully, Goreng is saved by a Deus Ex crazy lady, as Alexandra Misanke's Miharu reappears, a woman travelling down on the platform in search of her daughter. There's another couple of vignettes as Goreng awakens on level 33 with Antonio San Juan's Imoguri, who's trying to convince people to ration their food to allow everyone to survive, and then later with Emilio Buali Coca's Barat, with whom he and Goreng try to get a message to the administrators of the facility that, well, it's something about a panna cotta. It's probably meant as a metaphor. Of course, in terms of the structure so dominant in the movie, the message is a fair bit clearer, as this isn't a film that's making its political points particularly subtly. Where it falls apart a little as an allegory is in the text of it. There's not much in the way of remotely plausible, feasible, or satisfying answers to the how, what, where, and why of this prison, and it all seems a bit eager to plaster over these gaps with buckets of blood. However, for the Song of Summit, there's an entertaining movie to be found here, told with sort of impressive low-budget minimalism of something like the setup of Cube with the politics of Snowpiercer. It's by no means without its flaws. There's a lot of plot threads thrown out that ultimately don't weave together into anything ultimately meaningful, and I think it's probably a film that's better described as interesting than good, but I think that's enough to recommend it as a curio, if any of that bloodletting sounds interesting to you. Drew, what do you think of The Hole, as I think it's called in its original Catalan, or Basque even?
And also in the Spanish too. Just actually, before going, I always find the translation of titles of films really interesting. Sometimes they're like unnecessarily perfunctory and literally translated. Sometimes they're just changed for no reason at all. You know, I'm pretty sure it'd be understood in another language. Other times I feel like a title, and it's not just the translation, just the title kind of tells you where they're coming from. This is quite interesting. The production company is actually called Plataforma La Película, so Platform the Movie.
Yeah.
But in Spain it was released as El Hoyo, The Hole, and also in any other Spanish-speaking territory, I think. Whereas in France and in Hungary and English-speaking countries and a good few others, it's released as The Platform. And I find that quite interesting. Like, one place is focusing on the hole, which is the bit that takes you down. Yeah. The other bit's focusing on the platform, the bit that theoretically takes you up, or certainly it's providing sustenance. And I don't know if there's much to be read into that. We'll not do it here. I just it was interesting. That the name would be like kind of opposite depending on the territory. I was like, does that say something about a national psyche? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's, as you may have guessed by how I referred to it when I passed over to you, it's quite on the nose with its social commentary.
Yes.
Which is fine, actually. You know, I do believe there's this quote about writers whose subtext.
Yes. And the cowardice thereof, yes.
Yes. I did enjoy it. It was very, very reminiscent of Cube in many ways, not just the set, but just like the way it was. They had to sort of go and work with each other or not, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and being inside a structure that ultimately makes no sense whatsoever. But
yeah,
other than as a metaphor for society, which is yeah.
Yeah, that's you'll remember perhaps that was also one of my problems with Snowpiercer, that actually that didn't make any sense either. Yes. Like, they're all science fiction things, so you'll accept some sort of advanced technology to a degree, but this is like, it's physically impossible, and they didn't even try to make it seem reasonable. So it's like, that's not really the genre to be doing that in the end. But where something like High Society, like the 2015 adaptation of the J.G. Ballard book, is doing some similar themes, some similar ideas, but it's considerably more believable in terms of like what's happening and where and how, because it's just happening in a tower block.
Yeah.
You know, there's not kind of magic happening as well, which takes away from it. But its themes are, I mean, they're solid themes, and I can't argue with a lot of the points it's making. It's just there's no subtlety in the film. Well, that doesn't always have to be, I guess. It's just that, actually, I mean, I know that the violence is, you have to have violence. The way it's represented in society is violent, both literally and metaphorically at times. So there has to be some there, but at times it took me out. Like, yeah, it's just gory now.
Yeah.
It's not doing anything for me. It's not saying anything to me.
It could have done with a bit of restraint. I think if it only descended to the absolute depths of humanity once, that might have had more impact than where it just keeps kind of popping up now and again, where it feels like the pacing's gone a bit slow. So they just throw a few more buckets of blood around the screen. It was almost used to kind of patch over it rather than it being properly impactful.
Yeah, it's like there's a scene with an animal at one point, and it was quite obvious that something was going to happen to the animal. And what happens to the animal, we could have been told without being shown the remnants of it.
Yeah.
Like, what was that adding? Yeah. It doesn't turn my stomach, very little does. So it's not like I was being squeamish or anything. I was like, that was just unnecessary. What did that serve? Whereas like, a couple bits of like, really strong, maybe even shocking violence in it, like, right, that's making a point. And it's actually setting it apart. As soon as you start spreading that more over your film, each part becomes less impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly interesting. I'm glad I watched it, and I like that it just clips along at 90 minutes. Yes, we're back on that one again, folks. But yeah, it's got an idea. It executes it pretty well, and it does it quite efficiently. It's not just... like, it's crazy. A film like this, again, it's like... A film like this, 90 minutes, and you get comedies over 2 hours. No, what is wrong with the world right now?
Yes.
Well, everything, obviously. You've seen the world.
Yes. Everything is literally on fire, so yeah.
Yes.